welcome to the SAFF Championship 2013, the Experts Meet. This is the first Google Hangout in a series of Google Hangouts where we'll tell you about the SAFF Championship, all you need to know about the tournament, make you listen to and discuss issues with experts from various countries that are going to take part in the tournament, as well as interact with players and get their thoughts on the tournament itself. I'm Atishay Agarwal. I'm the editor and co-founder of 90 Minutes, which is India's only football magazine currently. And we've been in circulation for a couple of years. And I've got two fine panelists with me today, one from India, one from Nepal. The first is the dear friend, Amoy Ghoshal. Hi, Amoy.
Hi, Atishay. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Just can let the viewers know what you're into and who you are exactly.
Yeah, hello everybody. This is Amoy Ghoshal. I've been covering Indian football for 5 years now. I've worked at goal.com and Hindustan Times newspaper. And currently I'm a football writer at sportskira.com, which is the largest all sports Asian website. So I would like to say hi to Atishay and everybody and look forward to a good chat with Atishay and Vikram.
Thanks, Amoy. And as Amoy mentioned, the second panelist with us tonight is Bikram Thapa from Nepal, who's also a former colleague of mine. Hi Bikram, how's everything?
Hi Atishay, how are you?
I'm good. So tell the Indian viewers would like to know, I mean, I'm sure everyone in Nepal already knows you very well, but I'm sure viewers all around South Asia would like to know what you do.
Yeah, hello South Asian folks. I'm Bikram Thapa, editor of coolnepal.com, and we call it premium website here in Nepal. And we have been covering SAFF Championship like from 2011 edition, I think previous edition. So we normally cover all Nepalese football, and not only covering news, but also we are the part in the development of Nepalese football with social campaign as well.
Okay. So just to sort of get us up to speed on what the SAFF Championship is all about. The SAFF Championship, or the SAFF Cup, as we also call it. The full form being the South Asian Football Federation Cup, is contested by 8 teams from the region, which are India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Afghanistan, Nepal, and Bhutan. The tournament is held every 2 years, and which sees the best of South Asia compete against each other for regional supremacy. We've seen 4 different winners in the competition so far since the tournament started in 1993. Because India are currently, far ahead of the rest in terms of number of times they won the tournament. India has won it 6 times, with Maldives, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka all winning it once each. Looking back at the last tournament, the SAFF Championship in 2011 was hosted by India, with the matches taking place at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in New Delhi, after the AIFF shifted the tournament out of Odisha. India won the tournament, beating Afghanistan 4-0 in the final. So, what do we expect this time around? I think before going into the nitty-gritties of the tournament and the teams itself, why not let's just get a hang of what the state of football is in both our countries. So, Amoy, what would you say? I mean, we've seen a big growth in the number of fans of the game in the last 10 years in India, and that's primarily down to the European game and the extended coverage of it. But do you think that's helped Indian football in any way?
Well, it has helped in a certain way, because back in the 70s, when there was a lot of crowds coming in for the matches in Calcutta between East Bengal Mohun Bagan or East Bengal Mountain Sporting or whatever, the problem was that the fans were not even enough educated about the game outside, and it was all limited to just 3 clubs and watching a small pool of players. So watching better quality players and better quality matches, better quality leagues, I think it has its advantages also. But at the same time, it also stops fans from going to the stadium and watching their own domestic game. I don't know whether it is a direct effect of the European matches being shown on television, but it certainly has an effect, because you would rather watch an English Premier League team or a La Liga team rather than go to the ground to watch an Indian domestic league match, or even the Indian national team also. It's not that for the Indian national team also we get good crowds all the time. Having said that, I think if you want to know the current state of the game, I would say there have been some improvements with the launch of the professional league, the I League in 2007. We have been getting some good foreigners, some good foreign coaches, and with the Arrows project, the Pailan Arrows project, which is the developmental team of the Indian FA, we have got a good pool of players coming through. But the problem remains with Indian football, and I guess most areas of South Asia, is the infrastructure and the youth development not being at an advanced stage. We are not producing enough players. If I speak for India, we are the second most populated country in the world, but we are not producing enough footballers. There is a huge lack of sporting culture in the society that we have. That kids are not encouraged to take sport as a profession, and that is one big thing that hurts football, because you see kids playing at school level or at college level but not taking up seriously due to lack of opportunities, or they are not encouraged. So that is the big problem which remains with Indian football, and as long as that doesn't improve, we will probably be doing well in South Asia and competing with other teams. But at the same time, we must be aware that all the teams in South Asia are also trying to improve. So if we can't get complacent, we have to keep improving, and obviously try and reach the greater heights of Asia, not just remain the best in South Asia, but try and reach the greater heights of Asia.
When you compare in India, when you compare football to other sports, especially cricket, which is pretty much the only sport in the country which parents would encourage their kids to take up, right?
Yeah.
Do you think cricket is holding football back in any way?
In a way, but I think it's an excuse if we blame cricket for football holding back, because we can take the positives from cricket, like cricket have a very successful league that is globally recognized. So we could take the good points from that, of how the league is marketed, the television coverage and all that. But having said that, yes, it is a handicap. So other sports does get a stepmotherly treatment. You don't get enough help from the government and the sponsors. But again, it is all come down to the people who are running the game in India. There are enough opportunities to market the game better. There is a huge pool of fans out there who are just waiting to get the right product to come and watch domestic matches. And if the national team keeps playing, and most of the matches of the national team are not televised, so even the fans who want to watch the national team are not able to do so. So blaming cricket is not the way out. I think the people who are running the game, which includes players, media, and of course the officials, they have to step up and wake up. They just can't blame it on each other.
Okay, Bikram, will come to you now. I think there will be no one better than you to let us know what the state of football is in Nepal right now. You started goalnepal.com at a very young age, and but do you think that you started it at a time when football was already growing in popularity, or was it that football was already growing in popularity and you caught on to it and started the website? How do you think it's been over the last few years?
Yeah, it's a really good question to me, because Nepal, we have like three different time, because Nepalese football doesn't have that long history, and the modern football began like say 1.5 decades ago. So we don't have such kind of rich footballing history here. But Nepalese people are always crazy about the game. They follow the game, and they accept whatever the result that Nepalese senior team produces. So, but you can't raise question on the passion of the game, of passion of the Nepalese footballer. Football lovers. And the situation is the only the problem is that we don't have such kind of good infrastructure over here, and we play like our major tournaments and the league in one stadium, and with all clubs having based in Kathmandu itself. But last year, our NFA, All Nepal Football Association, decided to organize the league nationwide, but that didn't materialize because we don't have such kind of infrastructure outside the Kathmandu Valley. So ultimately, eventually the concept was disbanded, and the same world format goes on this year. So I think it's we have a pool of talents over here, because most of the people football players come outside the Kathmandu Valley, though the league is based in Kathmandu. So most of the clubs, they recruit players from outside the valley. So okay. It's a situation like you are cropping outside the valley, but the place is in Kathmandu. and there is not enough space over here in Kathmandu to where the players from Kathmandu itself gets trained. No, so the situation is pretty difficult over here in Nepal, and the only lacking part is we don't have proper infrastructure where the football players gets trained and they nurture their talents. But having said that, we are still on the steady path, but we haven't made such progressive improvement over here in Nepal in Nepalese football since last decade. So we are on the really stagnated, and the progress is not really clearly seen over here in Nepal. The standard of the game, you say.
Okay. Like Amoy was mentioning, when it came to India, we have a huge number of people crazy about the European game, but when the national team plays or when you have I-League clubs playing, you don't have much of a crowd barring the Kolkata Derby or something like that.
Right.
In Nepal, I mean, is there a huge following for the European game and a less following for the national team, or is it pretty much the same? What would you say?
As I said earlier, Nepalese football players, football lovers are so crazy about the game, though it is EPL or Serie A, La Liga, But the interesting part is that we have an average crowd of 2,200 in our league. It's really pretty interesting. See, I think we have made one data that I think we are the first country in South Asian country, I think, which have a good number of average crowd. It's a 2,300 last season, and I think it's going to increase this season. And we have GoalNepal.com have predicted like 2,600 per match. It's pretty good. I mean, so people really follow the game. But whenever the Nepalese team plays the game, they go. It's always jam packed. Full house. We have a small stadium here in Kathmandu. It's a capacity of 22,000 normally. So we see like full house capacity every time. So as I said, I mean, you can't raise question on the craze of the Nepalese football lovers. So it's pretty good that the people are following the game here crazily.
But would you expect the same number of people for the national team games? Would you expect the stadium to be sold out for any national team game in the SAFF Cup?
Of course, I mean the number of the people inside the stadium and number of outside the stadium will be equal.
Okay. So Amoy, let's get to the tournament itself.
Yeah.
And as Indians, we sort of expect it to be our right to win the SAFF Cup. Being by far the most populated nation, and so on. So do you think it's an expectation to win the tournament? Anything apart from winning the tournament is a disappointment for India?
I think for most people, yes, it will be an expectation for India to win the tournament, considering the resources we have, our history, and also the fact that our domestic league is actually more advanced than you see the other South Asian countries, because our teams have been playing in the AFC Cup since 2004, and I think only Maldives has recently joined, and I hope Nepal and Pakistan and other countries, clubs of other countries also join the second tier of the Asian competition. But having said that, I think anybody who has been following South Asian football last 2 years, I think you have to look at the progress of teams like Afghanistan, Maldives, and even the likes of Nepal or Bangladesh or Pakistan. But I would single out the two countries, Afghanistan and Maldives. Firstly, Afghanistan have profited from the number of overseas players that they have brought in, because unlike in India, their rules permit Afghan players who are born outside Afghanistan to play for their national team. So, and because of that, they have improved by a considerable amount. They reached the final of the last edition, 2011 edition, and they have qualified for the AFC Challenge Cup. And I think they will be one of the teams to look out for in the 2014 Challenge Cup. And then you have Maldives. I think Maldives have given India the most competition in recent editions. If it was starting in the 2008 when they beat us in the final, and let's not forget that same team went on to the same Indian team went on to win the Challenge Cup in 2008 and qualify for the Asian Cup. But Maldives had beaten them on this one. But even though we have won the last two editions, I think India have not improved as much as Afghanistan and Maldives have. India have stayed where they were and actually have gone backwards since the 2011 Asian Cup, because for two reasons. For one, we haven't played enough international matches in a consistent way. Like in 2011, we played a lot of games and most of our players got tired, because in the off season also we had a unnecessary Caribbean tour. And last year we didn't play enough games. This year our women's national team has played more matches than the men's national team. And the whole lot of talk of back in India is about whether we should have an IPL style football tournament, whether the I League should go away. So there's a big deadlock regarding how the domestic should be run, and people have ignored the national team's progress and the need for the national team to play more matches, because the fact that is that if you see other countries that already started preparing for the SAFF Cup in some way or the other, whereas until a few days ago it wasn't even clear whether India would be sending their senior team. But now that air has been clear, I think they will be sending the strongest possible team, because the new domestic the season of the I League doesn't start until the end of the SAFF Cup, I think around September 20. So we will be sending out our best team. And the second reason for the reason for us going backwards is the number of retirements we have had together. Baichung Bhutia, Mahesh Gauli, Samin Naik, Climax Lawrence, these are stalwarts who have been there for the national team for years. And like I think anywhere in the world, when one country has so many retirements together in any sport, and considering the fact we don't have such a good production line of players coming all the time, so we have gone backwards the last 2 years. But maybe the SAFF Cup could be a start for our new Dutch coach Wim Koolmans to start the revival again and rebuild for the 2016 AFC Challenge Cup, because somehow we have failed to qualify for the AFC Challenge Cup also next year, which will be held in Maldives. So I would say we will be favorites, we will be expected to win, but given the progress of the other teams, it won't be easy.
Okay. Bikram Omay was talking about the Indian national team playing very few matches. The women's team has played more friendlies than the men's team this year. So, what about Nepal? Do you think the Nepalese are playing enough friendlies, or are they playing at all, or what's the scene like for the national team there?
No, it's the same sorry story, because Nepal last played, against Bangladesh in a 2-match series over here. Pakistan, but we lost both matches, and Pakistan fielded like most of the foreign-based players, I think from Denmark. They played really good game, but that was when our 2 new coaches, it's Polish coaches, Jack Stefanowski and Richard Wolski. They were just into the team, but the team wasn't that strong enough to beat Pakistan. But things have changed. We have had like local tournaments to major tournaments where the players played really well, and a lot of positive, lots of good things have come forward, and the coach expressed their happiness. Players, and the training has already begun for the SAFF Championship, and it's already been 2 weeks. So we didn't play enough friendly matches, but it's not that the players are not into action. So I think it's we are in the win-win situation, because in a SAFF Championship we are hosting at home, so it's going to be a really good chance for Nepal, and you can't write off Nepal lifting the championship.
Do you think there's a buzz within the country, in expectation of the tournament? Are people really looking forward to it? Is there talk about it in Nepal?
Yes, very much, and the people are so much excited about the championship. This is like a World Cup for Nepal. I mean, Nepal has never won this championship. In 1993 they became 3rd, but in 1997 the modern SAFF Championship was held in Nepal, Kathmandu, that India defeated Maldives 5-1 in the final. And I still remember I'm Bijian and Baichung Bhutia making buzz that time. But at that time Sri Lankan Roshan Pereira was the good striker that time. But Nepal always struggled in the SAFF Championship, but we really prepared last edition in India, where we entered semi-final, and unluckily we were beaten by Afghanistan, the really improved, revamped side. So having said that, Nepal, you can't write it off, because Nepal playing at home is always difficult for any team to to beat Nepal. We have seen like playing against Jordan in FIFA World Cup qualifiers, where in Amman we were beaten 9-0, but in Kathmandu we hold them 1-1. It was really good game that time. So in Nepal, playing at Dasra Stadium, it's like playing in front of 22,000 crazy noisy people. It's really difficult for other team to beat Nepal at home.
Okay. Amoy, after the last final in 2011, we had Sunil Chhetri come out and say that the under-23 team should play the SAFF Championship. When you compare that to now, Do you consider India to be a stronger team than they were in 2011? And
Uh,
if not, does their statement come across as a bit arrogant at the moment?
Definitely arrogant in one way, definitely, because it's not that we consistently beat the South Asian teams outside India. I mean, it's a different thing happening when we are playing in India. I can bet like if we play Maldives and Afghanistan in particular, and even the other teams, but I would say in these two teams in particular on their soil, we would struggle to beat them now. And that was evident when we lost to Myanmar, who are, even though they are part of ASEAN, their standards are not much higher than the SAFF team. But we got outplayed. We needed a draw to go through to the Challenge Cup, but we lost to them. So I think that showed that we have gone backwards in the last 2 years. It's not that the talent is not there, but some players who are good in the national league, they don't perform for their clubs. So when they come back to the national team, they are not fully fit. And the ones who are doing well at club level, they don't have the mentality to perform immediately at the international stage. So it becomes difficult for the coach to pick a 16. So I would definitely say that that statement of Sunil of sending the under 23 team does sound a bit arrogant, but at the same time we have to look at another aspect. I think all South Asian teams have to look at another aspect. It is one thing beating each other and getting the regional glory, but our bigger aim should be, to become one of the top teams in Asia. At least try and qualify for the Asian Cup every edition. So with our senior team definitely needs to play teams outside South Asia also. There was talk of a friendly back in May that we will play some teams from Southeast Asia, other parts of Asia. That didn't go through. It is very important for all South Asian teams, and especially India, because they are eager to go to the next step. They want to host the Under 17 World Cup, and one day they also want to play in the main edition of the World Cup. And if you're talking about it now, we have no chance of doing that unless we host it one day, because we are far away from even the emerging teams of Asia. And if the rate of this lack of improvement continues, then maybe we'll struggle to be in the semi-finals of the SAFF Cups also one day, because the other teams are improving a lot. I don't think we will ever have naturalization of foreigners, and we will ever have players of Indian origin playing for India anytime soon. So, and other teams are picking up on this. So although I would have, I think it makes sense in one way to have under 23 team, because 2009 edition, the under 23 team went there, and many players of that team have gone on to represent the senior team. So it can be used as a development for such players, but at the same time you have to respect the tournament, and you have to respect the fact that other teams have improved than you now. So it's important that India send their best possible team out, try and win the SAFF Cup, and start the revival towards qualifying for maybe the next edition of the Asian Cup, which is way in 2019.
Can I add on it?
Yeah, sure.
I think we have another tournament. It's a South Asian Games where we have under 23 players taking part in. So what I feel like India should obviously send senior side to make it it's like a senior championship. What I feel like to make it interesting, but India last won with under 23 side. I was there in Dhaka. So, but having said that, the India must send the senior side to the championship to make it like a senior event. What I feel.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. Amay, when we look back at the last tournament in 2011, how do you assess India's performance? I mean, we won the championship, of course, and we beat Afghanistan 4-0 in the final. But I think we all agree that the scoreline didn't do justice to the Afghan side, who competed very well until they had 11 on the pitch. So, how would you assess India's performance? And do you think, I mean, the team that's going to step out in Nepal this time is stronger or significantly weaker or around about the same?
Firstly, I think we started very slowly in that tournament, because we had a draw, I think, against Afghanistan in the group stage, and we recorded big wins over Bhutan and Sri Lanka to go through the semifinals. It was actually a very easy group, considering at the other part you had Maldives, you had Nepal, Pakistan are always a difficult opponent, and Bangladesh are always improving. Whereas Bhutan are probably the only minnows among the 8 teams, considering whatever they have back in their country in terms of population and the resources. So I would say group stage we were not at our best, but we went through because it was an easy. I mean, we went through to the semi-finals, avoiding a team in form like Nepal, because we had teams like Bhutan and Sri Lanka in our group. But I think the semi-final match was the turning point of the tournament because we were playing well in the first half, but Maldives against the run of play had equalized after we had taken the lead, and that is when the mentality of the Indian team was questioned whether they can respond. They're playing at home soil. They're playing against Maldives. They are the favorites. Means India playing at home and in the SAFF Cup, anything less than a SAFF Championship would be a disaster. It would be meaning the coach should go, the players should go, everything. I think it would be disastrous if we don't win it. So I think at 1-1 we responded pretty well. Our experience at South Asian level came through that time. We scored 2 goals. We went on to win 3-1. And I think in the final as well, Afghanistan had their moments. I remember Karanjit making 2 one-on-one saves. I can't recall which Afghanistan striker it was, but he made 2 one-on-one saves at goalless when it was 0-0. And then we got the lucky break. There was the sending off. Afghanistan goalkeeper lost his temper. But I would say overall India were the better side in the final. Just that they were lucky that Afghanistan didn't take their moments on the counter attack. Overall, I would say it was just more than average tournament for India because they did improve against the teams that were playing well like Maldives and Afghanistan. But we do expect India playing at home to be much more dominant from the very start. We shouldn't be really requiring those 10-20 minute spells, and we shouldn't be playing percentage football at SAFF Cup because we should try and win games convincingly. Then maybe we can proclaim that, okay, let's send our under-23 team. We are much better than the other South Asian teams. As far as this edition is concerned, as I said, we have gone backwards in the last 2 years. A lot of retirements, too much pressure on players like Sunil Chhetri and Gourmangi, Sai Ibrahim Nobi. I mean, they have won over 50 caps, but at the same time, they have always performed better with players like Baichung and Climax around them. So it's a big challenge for these players to, mold the youngsters who are coming in and, give a good performance in Nepal because a lot will be expected and we won't have home advantage. We will also be playing at a time when all the players will be coming into a new season. So it won't be like last edition when it was in the middle of the season. Some players were already informed. They will be coming straight off from pre-season, and we are 1 or 2 injuries away from disaster because our pool of players who are good enough for the international level is very small now. So it's very important we take this tournament seriously, and hopefully we will get to see some new stars born in this tournament.
Bikram, same question to you. I think Nepal. You probably agree that Nepal competed pretty well in the last edition of the tournament in India, and even they fought hard even in the semi-final when they went out. So, how do you look back at that performance in the last edition, and compared to 2 years back, do you think the Nepalese side today is stronger?
No, I think in the previous edition we practiced really well. We had a tour of South Asian region. We played against Philippines. Against Malaysia under 23 side, and we had really good preparation that time. We had a British coach, Graham Roberts. He's a very strict coach, but we were deserving to enter final, and Afghanistan 1-0 loss is like big disaster for Nepalese football lovers because at that time All Nepal Football Association had assured all members of the team that if you win the SAFF Championship, then you would be given apartment, a lifetime pension, everything. I mean, that was a very lucrative offer for me. But also we didn't win. That was heartbreaking. But this time also, the NFA has already, assured that if the team wins the SAFF Championship, they will be given, full furnished apartment, lifetime pension of rupees 10,000. It's a really good offer already in the offings. But we have to win the championship. The player have to play. The player have to deliver it. But having said that, we have already started the preparation, but we need to play international friendly matches. We need to play against senior sides. It doesn't matter if we lose by a big margin. It doesn't matter. But we need to train. We need to practice play matches with the senior sides. That's what is not happening right now, and we have been forcing ENFA to do that. And let's see, ENFA will plan at least 3 or 4 friendly matches ahead of SAFF Championship, and that will really help the team to do well at home.
You mentioned your previous coach Graham Roberts. In many ways, I think he did a really good job with the national team when he was there.
Yes.
And in many ways, some people call him like the Bob Houghton of Nepal. How has the change of coach been? How's Stefanowski, compared to Roberts? Is there like in India, there's a lot of disappointment with governments, especially after the success Houghton gave us. So do you think it's the same situation in Nepal right now, or is it
Well,
similar?
they are two different coaches, Graham Roberts is like a very strict one, and Jack Stefanowski is a very soft coach right now. And the people are taking it like, I don't know. I mean, the football experts here in Nepal, they haven't got to Jack Stefanowski very well, because he's so soft-spoken, very shy, media side coach. Because he's the very new coach. He's handling the team for the first time, national side. So I think that is making toll of him. But I don't know. I mean, it's just been 6 months with the national side, and I think we need to give him extra 6 months or 1 year to evaluate him. But so far the records, the results that we had under him is not good, not satisfactory. We lost against Pakistan, we lost against Bangladesh. That's not good sign. So I think it's a really good challenge, daunting task for him to do well with the team in SAFF Championship. Otherwise, if we don't perform well, then he's gone. I think it's just one contract with him and his assistant.
Is it that he's trying to develop a new style of football for the national team? Is there a change in the philosophy?
Right. He's much into academic size. He last time when Graham Roberts came into the team, he changed the formation. Normally we played like 4-4-2 formation for Nepal always, but he changed the strategy to 3-5-2, or making it a different one. Two players running onto the flanks. It's like quite attacking game for Nepal, but it didn't work well. But when the Stefanowski came in, and he took like more than 3 months to set the team. He struggled with choosing the players, the right position. So I think he and his assistant Richard Orlowski will have very difficult time selecting the players. Right now we have more than 35 players into the selection camp right now. The selection has already begun. So I think when we will have a complete set of players of 23 or 20, I think then only we can say that what kind of quality of players that he has chosen. So I think we still have to wait the final selection to make the right prediction of his ability.
Mm-hmm. Amoy, we're talking about philosophy, so I think everyone in India quite familiar with the word over the last couple of years. The idea behind the appointment of a Dutch coach and Dutch technical director and all of that was that we wanted everyone from the junior sides till the national team. We wanted India to play a possession-based, more polished game, so to say, with an attacking philosophy. Do you think it's worked out at all? Do you think that, results haven't been as good, but do you see an improvement in the quality of football in India playing?
There has been an effort in some of the matches, to play a different style. We have tried to play more short passes than the time when we used to play against under Bohhouten, when we would go to a direct style. We would just put the ball up and you will or play the ball to the wings and get the wingers to put the ball into the box. So we have tried to play more short passes, but the problem has been, even though we in governments has tried to impose this new style, most players have grown up playing 4-4-2. So suddenly when a coach comes and when you're trying to import a style of play, and remember he has been in charge of only two friendly matches. Other than that, it has either been the Nehru Cup or it has been competitive matches. So he hasn't had enough time also to experiment a new style of play. We saw that in bits and parts against Palestine. A friendly we lost 4-2, but we did get to see some good football from the team in the first half. A number 10 in Indian football is unheard of, but we saw Alvin George doing a good job in that role for 45 minutes. But it showed that we need more chances to experiment that system. Training sessions are not enough. We need friendly matches to try them out. And what happened at the AFC Challenge Cup was when we needed a draw. The team initially were playing the way governments wanted, and suddenly they started to panic and play the long ball. We were playing just one striker up front, who is Sunil, who I think is 5'8" or 5'9" at most. And we kept hitting long balls, and suddenly we started struggling and panicking. We were not early to the second balls also, because we had not trained that way. Under Houghton, the first thing was we have to win the second ball, get the ball to the wings and put the ball into the box. But under Coleman, we try and play more passes. We usually play one striker. We usually play 4-4-1-1 with a player in the number 10 role. And it actually was a wrong move, in my opinion, to play that system against teams like Macau and Chinese Taipei. because had we won by bigger margins, we would have made it to the Challenge Cup as one of the second place teams. But we only defeated Chinese Taipei with a goal in the last 10 minutes, and mind you, that goal was from a header by Robin Singh, who is more than 6 feet, and it was crossed from the wing. So I would say the style hasn't worked out yet for two reasons. One, that the players, it is still early days. The new system hasn't kicked into the the youth level. So most players who are playing that system have grown up with the 4-4-2 and the Bob-Houghton style. And secondly, the government hasn't got enough opportunities in friendly matches to try things out. You can't try out too many things in competitive matches. So that has been a reason I don't think the new style has really come through yet.
Okay. Bikram, when it comes to the tournament in September, who would you say are the players Nepal will really rely on, considering that the coach himself is new and may not be totally comfortable or aware of the environment in Nepal? I'm sure as the senior players will have to step up and take responsibility. So who are these players do you think that the national team will bank on?
Right, Ati, we are a very youthful side at an average age of 24. Only Jumanu Rai, Sagar Thapa, Santosh Shaukala are above 27, 20. Most of the players are they have just graduated from under 19 team. So it's a very youthful side, and the philosophy of the game, the Nepalese football team really likes to play a technical game, passing game, short passes. So we can really rely on the defense line, because our defense line will be pretty good strong lineup with the Rohit Chand, Sagar Thapa. And on the left flank, there is Ravin Shrestha, who performed really well in 2011 edition. And we have on the right side, we will have Biraj Maharjan, but Biraj Maharjan is injured right now, and he's nursing his knee injury. But he's still in the selection camp right now. But the midfield line, we have to really worry about, in the midfield and striking line, because all our strikers like Anil Gurung, Jumanu Rai, Santosh Shaukala are misfiring in all tournaments, in the last years. So they haven't been scoring enough goals, and they have been criticized by the media, everybody. So I think our main problem is the striking line. Midfield line is okay, and they having Rohit Chand playing in Indonesia right now, and he's just moved to defensive midfield from the real sweeper, stopper. So he's really performing well in Indonesia. He has scored 3 goals already. So we don't have to worry in the midfield line and even in the wings, but we just need to work hard on the striking line. And we are searching. The new coaches are searching the fresh strikers in the front line, which I really don't think the new players will come in. And I think the old guns, which need to who need to deliver at home when it is needed.
Okay. There was a lot of talk about Rohit Chand when he first came on the scene, even in the I League, that here we have a player who can make it one of the top European leagues as well. There were rumors about trials and bids from big teams across Europe. But do you think that that it was too much hype, or do you think that he had that potential, but maybe he's not lived up to it so far?
To be frank, Rohit is a talented guy. He's really good. Graduated from N5 Academy. Now he played 2 seasons in India with Hal, and Hal. But after that, there was a rumor, linking to him to Arsenal or Tottenham Hotspurs, even to French clubs. I don't know what's the reality in it, but he's a really good guy. Seriously, trust me. And now he's playing with in Indonesia ISL. He previously played with PSPS Pekanbaru, and now he's shifted to Persija Jakarta, which is a really good club, fan-following club in Indonesia, and he's playing really good. And he's already scored 3 goals. His actual position is the main stopper, but in Indonesia he's playing as a midfielder, attacking midfielder, sometimes a defensive midfielder. So his role has been changed. I don't know how he can cope up with the strategy of the Jack Stefanishke here in Nepal, because when he was called to play friendly matches against Pakistan, he really struggled, because the coach shifted him back to his position, to defense line, where he struggled to perform his usual game. So the question, remains like how the coaches will fit him into the position. That's the only part we can ask from the Jack Stefanishke. But if you ask the ability of Rohit Chand, he's really good, playing really good football in Indonesia right now.
Do you think he has it in him to make it to Europe at some point?
Yes, of course. But I think he should go for the trial in European country, or say like I would not say like EPL or the biggest stages, but he should try at least some other European countries.
Okay.
That's how you can improve on, grow on from there. So I think it's a pretty good wise decision to go to European countries and give play some lower leagues or move improve accordingly.
Amoy, I mean, ever since Baichung retired, we've been completely reliant on Sunil Chhetri to score our goals. Do you think it's going to be the same story this time? I don't think there's been any other striker who's really come up and shown for the national team in the last few years. So do you think it's going to be all up to Sunil once again, considering it's going to be difficult for him? He's not played too many games in the last year, although he did play Churchill towards the end of the I-League season. Do you think it's going to be tough for him to, handle that responsibility?
Well, once again, definitely we'll be over-reliant on Sunil Chhetri. I think when you mention Indian strikers coming up, besides Chhetri and Baichung, I think JJ for a while did a good job, and that was more down to the Arrows project, because he used to get regular game time in the I-League. But what has happened now with the new 4 foreigner rule, now 4 foreigners are allowed in the starting 11 of I-League teams. And that is a death knell for Indian strikers. I can't see too many Indian strikers playing even 90 minutes for even a month in the I-League. They might be reduced to sitting on the bench for the entire season. So I think that is pretty bad news for the national team. I don't know how it was approved by the federation. As far as the tournament is concerned, I would say Sunil has taken the pressure well. I wouldn't say it has been all negative since Baichung's retirement. He has been the only one who has really been trying and has shown quality, even against some of the top sides. But as you mentioned, after moving to Sporting Lisbon B, he was reduced to the bench. I think only made 2 or 3 substitute appearances over 5 months, and that is why he came back to India on loan to Churchill Brothers, and I would say was one of the main reasons why they did so well in the run-in and eventually won the title. So Sunil will once again be our player to watch and our star. And especially if he plays just one striker up front, I think it will be a lot more responsibility for him, because teams now have found out how to mark out Sunil Chhetri, and because they know that he's the guy that India have a threat. India don't have much threat besides Sunil Chhetri. So I think it is up to Wim Kovermans to find other solutions. Whether it is getting midfielders to try and have a system where players from wide areas can come and find the back of the net, or whether he plays someone like Alvin George and grooms him. But it's all down to playing a few more friendly matches, because as I told you that the competitive season won't be starting in India until September 20. So there will only be at most local league matches or some pre-season tournaments before the SAFF Cup. And if you're talking about the national team's preparation, they have only scheduled one friendly for now, that is against Tajikistan, I think on August 14. So Wim Kovermans has to use this match to not only get a positive performance but also find an alternative solution, because if he has to find out a solution that even if Sunil is marked out of the game, there are other players who can contribute. Whether it is giving JJ the confidence back, or try and getting players like Clifford Miranda and Jewel Raja to score more goals from midfield. That will be totally up to Kovermans. So we will definitely be over reliant on Sunil, and that is certainly a concern and a positive for the other 7 teams, I would say.
Coming to one of our other very popular senior players, Saeed Rahim Nabi. Obviously, he's also been a star for the national team for the last few years. Where do you think his best position is? He can seem to play anywhere on the pitch and has been used in a variety of positions by different coaches. Where would you say his best position is for the national team?
I think currently his best position will be as a wide midfielder, because defensively I would say he has struggled recently because he hasn't been playing regularly for his club in defense. And what happens is the level you play at the I-League, it's a huge jump when you come to the international level, which he found out in the international friendly against Palestine. Nabi was made to look the worst Indian player, in one of the goals which India conceded. But that is exactly the opposite case. Nabi is one of the best players. I mean, when India have a corner or a set piece, you can bring in the top Asian teams and Nabi will still win a header for you. That is guaranteed. If the delivery is there, Nabi will win a header for you. But I would say his best position is wide midfield now, because he can provide, he can put in crosses, he can come in from wide areas and score. He will work his socks for the fullback. He will give everything for the team. So I would say currently his best position is wide midfield, but overall I would say he's best suited as a fullback. But in the current setup, I would rather play him as a wide midfielder, and if needed, in a situation where it's not clicking, then we can maybe put another wide midfield and put Navi in a deeper role to have more attacks from that side.
Okay. Bikram, you obviously mentioned some of the star Nepalese players, but do you think there's any player any youngster especially, who can make a name for himself in this edition of the tournament? Anyone in mind who could probably step up and make a name for himself?
Right, Ati, there are 35 players right now in the camp, and we are yet to see the final selection. You know how many young players will come into the final squad. There are very few, like 4 or 5 extraordinary players, very youth players. But I can't guarantee if they can make it to the final squad or not. But if they can make it, there are very few players who can play really well in the mid, in the wing. Like you say, Prakash Buratugli is a new guy who is playing very good game in domestic football. But it's all up to the coach Jack Stefanowski, and his assistant Richard. So we need to see the final squad first, and I'm not sure that he will select enough large number of young players into the squad. I'm sure the squad will be same old the old players, but. We have, Bharat Khawas is a really good striker, but the problem is that he's now into the Army Cadet Corps. He's now getting trained for the second lieutenant, and he's going to miss the SAFF Championship, and this is going to be a very big setback to Nepal. But nothing has been confirmed yet. He can be called into the camp as well, but army training is army training. You have to go for 28 months rigorous training. So it will be a great setback for Nepal if Bharat Khawas won't play in the SAFF Championship. But still, there are very few 4 or 5 young players who can make it to the final score, and they are very good players.
Okay. Amoy, similarly for India, do you think any youngster can really make this his SAFF Championship?
I think if you go by age, there is only one player that comes to mind under the current system, and the way Covens wants to play. A number 10 is very important for Covens' style, a playmaker just behind the striker. And the only player who is capable of doing it at India at the moment is Alvin George. He's a product of the famed Tata Football Academy, and he has played 18 months for the Poilan Arrows team. And depending on the future of the Arrows team, he's up to a big club also. But he's the only player who can pick up the ball, look for passes, look for people, go past people. So if Covens stresses on having that 4-4-1-1 system and playing that playmaker behind Sunil, then I would say Alvin George is the one who can really take this tournament by, he can be the one for India. But at the same time, this will be his first major international tournament. Like he was part of the Nehru Cup squad, but he didn't get any action except appearance against the Cameroon B team in an inconsequential match. So that is going to be a big test for him, how he steps up in a big international tournament. But talent-wise, I would say he's the one to look out for India. But if you don't go by just age, and if you go by the number of caps, then I would say Lenny Rodriguez. He's still new to the international arena. He has been newly crowned the Indian Player of the Year, both by the Players Association and both by the Indian FA. And I would say he's the long-term replacement for Climax Lawrence. He's in that mold. He can make tackles. He's very hard-working in midfield. But again, the big challenge for him will be the step up into the international level. How we can do at international level? Because it's one thing playing at I-League when you have foreigners beside you. You can pass to the foreigner, he will score you the goals. But international level, there is very little room for error, and you can be found out by even in 1 second. So, but I would say these 2 players are the ones that India can rely on maybe for some years to come. But this tournament will be vital for them, because one bad tournament and your confidence goes down.
Okay, Ati, I missed one player. He's Jagjit Shrestha. It's really playing a good game, and he recently scored a goal against Mohun Bagan when Mohun Bagan was here for a friendly match. Local 3-star club defeated Mohun Bagan so he's a really great player in the wing. He can play also a striker and the winger also. So player to be watched should be Jagjit Shrestha.
Okay. So Bikram, finally, I would like to ask you, Nepal is hosting the SAFF Championship this time. What is the realistic expectation among the fans? Even what's your expectation and what's your prediction for the tournament?
Ati, Nepalese people wants the trophy, of course, because everybody is so excited and anticipating this championship. They are waiting for the date on September 1st. And I have already said that more than 22,000 people will be in every Nepal's match, roaring inside and outside the stadium. So they obviously won the cup, but the situation is difficult. The roads are bumpy, but since we have already started preparation for the championship, and if we can play some, like say 4 or 5 good international matches ahead of SAFF Championship, then I think we can make it. Depending on the draw on July 30th. So we have that chance. You can't write it off since we are playing at home. So we have realistic chances of winning it. But we really need to work hard. We really need to work hard. If the strikers deliver their game, we don't have problem on selecting goalkeepers. We don't have problem selecting defenders. It's like already stamped. I mean, we have very good, decent defenders and goalkeeper. But the problem is in midfielders and strikers. If we choose the best one and if they deliver, then we have really good chance, Ati.
Okay. And why, of course, the expectation in India would be to win the tournament. But considering that the tournament isn't being played in India this time around, what would be your prediction for the event?
Well, it's difficult to make a prediction at this moment because I think it's very important we wait for the squad announcements, because for teams like Pakistan and Afghanistan, it will be interesting to see how many of the overseas players are available for the tournament, especially for Afghanistan. I mean, for Pakistan, all those players will be newcomers, so it might take them time to settle. But with Afghanistan, some of their overseas players have been playing in this national team. They played an influential part in qualifying for the Challenge Cup. And if all of those overseas players are available, I would say India will have a massive challenge against Afghanistan in particular. But having said that, I think we have the players, we have the talent, we have the experience, and more importantly, we will be playing for that pride that we are the record champions, and we have to make a point that we remain the kings of SAFF or South Asian football. So I wouldn't make a prediction now, but I would certainly say India will be, they will be among the favorites. But having said that, it will be much more difficult than it has been in the last 2 editions. And I would say winning with any team, whatever team India sends out or whatever team they're up against, will be a good achievement for governments. And I would say it will be bigger than winning the Nehru Cup, where we beat the B team of Syria, B team of Cameroon. I think winning the SAFF Cup in Nepal, if Afghanistan, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan are at full strength, I think it will be a bigger achievement for this team under wing governments than winning the Nehru Cup, where we beat B teams in our home circuit.
Well, in that case, I think India should definitely be sending the senior team. Also, a lot of people would agree that it's best for the SAFF Championship to be held outside India. So, we have maybe a lot more competition.
Definitely.
We could see a lot more teams getting stronger, and we have more chance of seeing a new champion as well. So, thank you guys. Thanks, Amoy. Thanks, Bikram. And
Nice talking to you.
And we'll see you soon with another hangout. Hopefully, this time with some of the international players as well with us. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.